Hi, my name is Harsshda Nirgun-Karle. I'm a conceptual installation art practitioner. I would like to give you a quick introduction about myself and my art process. In my childhood, I used to observe things around me and used to have a quick book where I used to sketch few memories. At the age of 6 or 7, I was very specific that I wanted to pursue art. In standard 10th, I was thinking about whether to choose a career, and the aptitude test was given very quickly. So that time also I was very, very sure that I wanted to become an artist. But what art is and what artist is, I had no clue about it. I'm a completely academically trained artist, but though the subject was not there in my academics, I was very keen to know what installation art is. And installation, the word installation, I came across in one of the libraries when I was researching for my Viva, and that amazed me because it's not a sculpture, it's not a painting, it's 2D, 3D. It's not a video. What exactly it is? It's an installation. It has got to do everything with the space, and it's reference with what you create within that space and the connection of that object as an artwork. So this term was very new for me. I was very curious to know more about it, and concepts behind artwork actually are very important for me, but not only as a theme or a subject or to go in depth with thesis or theories or connections with that. But I think the practical work which I do is also very, very important because you completely go in another space. You enter into another space when you're working. The background is blur, you don't even know who is around you, and you are completely in that process. I think this quality of mine I started observing as a third person, and then I came to know that yes, I'm doing something right, and I couldn't explain what exactly it is, but then I researched a little more, and I found out that there are already artists who are doing similar work, and there is a history behind it. There is a great artist who already did rap art on a larger scale, and I was completely new to this because I did it by chance or by instinct. It was just a click, and I just started making those objects. Later, I came to know that in history already it's done by some artist. Also, I think decision making in life as a career is very, very important. If you are not sure about what you're doing, you can't have that confidence in someone else to generate whether you have to do a certain thing or not. So, I'll start with my childhood. In childhood, I was an academically average student, but I used to always participate in all the academic extracurricular activities like dance, drama, music, sports, and I was very active, but at the same time, I was introvert. So when I was in kindergarten, I used to say poem because I came from background of a completely joint family. I had two uncles, one auntie, my grandparents were with us. So I had a huge family. I was very active in the sense of speaking, but when it came to stage performance or to perform in someone else's front of someone else, I used to have this fear. But I think in kindergarten, I started this first poem, and the stage fear then vanished. So I'm a Kathak trained performer. I also do performances, but I have no certificate in that. So right now, my art, when I used to see in space, I also gel with a body, like how our body is connected with the artwork which I do. So it's not just limited to a particular object. I see how I can present that in multiple mediums like video, like 2D, 3D, and I connect with that work. So when I started my first performance, I think it was collecting bottles, empty bottles. And this started in COVID when we were consuming things We used to consume all these medicines, and the empty bottles used to gather. We used to overstore things. Like we used to go to market and store in the fear of maybe tomorrow will not get this material, or if we don't have this, so we used to overstore. So this concept of consumption and body, and also the outer form of the body. So I used to question about what is body made out of. We become what we eat. So I started collecting these empty bottles, and my first performance, which I started in my house, was making pillars out of all the used milk bottles. And I was questioning on what are we consuming, not just food, but the news, the visuals we see. And we were having this fear of communication. We were wearing masks that time, and we were not in connection with other people. We were having this fear of uh, getting affected by other, may it be a virus or may it be any other thought. We were having this fear of getting connected with other. So that's how I started with my wrap work. I used a cloth, a fabric, a normal household cloth, and I started wrapping the bottles, the used empty bottles. It can be milk bottle, it can be cosmetics, it can be medicines. I started collecting this and I started wrapping this, and I gave a thin layer of transparent gel so that it has a very stiff outer form, and it looks like a sculpture, but it was not a sculpture because I installed it in a particular space to give it a form and a shape. Artwork for me is my life. It comes from my life, what I live. And I think being an artist is something which is not a degree. It's not something to do with your outer profession, or how many years do you actually work, or a profile or a portfolio which you create outerly. But I think artist, for me, it is something which you are already, and you can't stop doing it. So if someone says me that, okay, why are you doing this? I have no straight answer for this. Convincing my own parents was very tough, but at the same time, it was very organic for me because I never took any pains to explain someone what I'm doing. I just did it in a flow. And I also had an answer to that, that I can't help just doing it. I do it because it's in me. I can't like stop doing it. So, for example, choosing a career, like I said, was very important. So, art teaching was a simultaneous process. So, basically, right now, I'm an art teacher. I'm an art educator. I give lectures and as a visiting professor as well. But I also practice my own artwork at the same time. So, when I start the process, I have no clue where it will end. Also, at the same time, when I am in that process of making or in that atmosphere of creating the work, I don't know what objects will be planned ahead. It just is to go with the flow and to be aware, and this kind of self realization and the questioning and the inquiries which happen at that time. And also the broader perspective, if you see, is your research, what you're researching on, what is your life. You start questioning on things which are emotionally connected with you. Like my concept for now could be construction, because when I travel across the roads in cities, towns, village, everywhere, or in and outside India, wherever I travel, I see on road construction, like building constructions. Okay. So this was something which always had a great connection with me. I used to observe the structural bodies which are there, the scaffoldings of the bamboo and the cement and the concrete rods, and the tiny little birds living in them. And also we are living in it. Like we are breathing inside that construction building, and the people are living inside that as a nest inside that. So this concept again was my first installation work which I did was a video installation. And at the same time, I also did similar works which were paper works like 2D. And at the same time, I also displayed few sculptures in the same exhibition. So my whole concept was on construction. It was also where I took it ahead with my body, like how as a female body, how are you always in a process of construction, like before marriage, after marriage, while taking decisions in life? how do you keep constructing and how do you keep changing in your life? So I wore a green sari in that artwork where it was the cloth was of the construction workers which they use as a net to protect the body of the building which is ongoing construction to stop the dust to flow on the road. So that net I used to wrap myself, and I was wearing that green sari, and I was holding this metal lotus which was made by me. So I think concepts just come, subjects just come in the flow of life which I live. So I don't do something which is alien to me. I live my artwork, and my artwork is created through my life, which is like daily life. The current work which I'm working on is a knot which I'm tying with a white cotton cloth, and actually it symbolizes connection. But how it started earlier, I just told you that it was something to do with the wrap art, like to cover the mask and the face. But that whole life experiences which I lived as a person when I was wearing a mask, and my over the whole head and the face, everything was closed, and people we used to not get what we are talking about. Like if I'm smiling, the person will not be able to guess whether I'm communicating in what perspective. So this is how it started, this journey. But then I actually wrapped on myself, and then few objects which I found, which are like daily objects which I consume. The second work which I did similar to that was bondage. That means I started connecting those knots and threads, and it also get connected with the veins in our body. It can also connect with the connection which a mother and the child has while pregnancy. It can also connect with uh, the transparent or invisible connection which two entities have among themselves. So this work, which is called entwined kalash, are two different bodies. Like one is an individual kalash and another is an individual kalash. It's wrapped with a cloth and it's plain red color. So this ritual which we have in our religion, which is a ceremony done while you are getting married to another family. So we have this container, copper container with the water in it, and you share the water. You share the one container is poured in another, and the another container is poured in the first one. So it's like a sharing between two different families. So this concept and this whole object itself was amazing, because when I started living actually as a married life, I thought that there are two different bodies, two different individuals, and how they are getting connected, how this journey begins. And there is a bondage between each other. Like there is something which made you together, right? There is something which got you together in this journey, but still you're individuals. So I started this work, and the daily objects which I consume, it can be a milk bottle, it can be a protein milkshake, or any food item which I consume. It can be normal washing powder or liquid soap. This container has an outer body of it. I wrapped that with a cloth, and I started seeing a connection between both, how those bodies are getting connected with each other. And that, individual identities, how they are bonding each other. This concept itself was very attractive. And I just went with the flow. I started making few works. Then I moved on to a few more objects. Like I did one object which was perfume bottles. This is completely a different concept. I'll explain a little about it. It's a chess board, which I took as a symbol of a life as a game. So you play chess. In that, you think very wisely. What is your next step? So you think twice about going ahead and making decisions. So I think this concept of decision making again in the life of a game is very, very differently used. So this empty used perfume bottles, I wrap them with a white cloth, giving them meaning of an identity, individual identity. Now, this concept again as a science, which was like genetic uh, perfume, which every individual have in themselves. Like even all the living beings, like a dog or a cat, has a smell in them, a perfume inside them. Based on this senses, they attract the opposite sex, like they display this interest and then they kind of get together. So I was thinking about how do you connect with this concept of choosing a life partner. Okay, so this concept with the chessboard I did with bottles and life as a game, and also how do you connect with any people, like it can be your mother, it can be your father, it can be a friend, or how do you connect with a friend, how much or what is the definition of a friend. So there are different types of friends, there are different souls around you, and you connect not just with the smell but all of your senses. So this was just a starting point. So for me, genetic perfume was something new for me, and it got a really good outcome. I did this work on a wooden board, and I placed those empty glass bottles with wrapped cloth. So that's how my work I describe. But I think while making, it was just in a flow. I think self-realization for an artist is very, very important. There is no teacher for you to teach you certain things. They will teach you at an academic level, but after a while, I think you should know, and one knows what exactly you have to do. That is how art is. So whether to teach, me being a teacher, I know how to teach and what to teach and at what level to teach. So I'll talk about myself. When I am in process of making work, I'm not sure what is going to happen next, but at the same time I'm so much so connected in that space with the object that I completely gel with the work. So I think again I'll come back to the same point, self-realization. So when you're making decisions, whether to choose a material, whether to paint it, whether to fix it on a wall, it's all outerly. It's all the outer appearance of the work, you know. But I think each work has its own inner conviction or inner soul, I could say, where you can see the artist inside it. So if you do a 10 works, if you do 10 different artworks, you still have one which is the best for you. You yourself know, okay, this is the best. So what are the parameters of art? You don't know about it. So for me, artwork is something which is not made for selling first. Secondly, it's not an object or a product to be sold out with a tag or a name. It's all secondary. It all comes after you're done with the work. But when you're making artwork, I think you're fully connected with that energy. And I think for me, it's not just an product or an object or something which is tangible. It goes beyond it. And medium doesn't matter. Concept doesn't matter. It is something which is in that sense, in that practical movement which is happening. And at the end, it's a product, or at the end, it's an object which people see. I think your potential energy or the artist energy and mindset and everything is captured in that particular object and it's created within that space. So for me, installation is something which you make feel others, but also which you generate first. So now my work is not limited to a particular project, to a particular concept, to a particular theme. It is completely to do with your journey, your process, your making, and how you're presenting it. I think talking about temperament of working, while I'm working, the work which is at present in my mind or in my hand is something to do with the past work and the future work maybe which I'm connected to. So it's not a kind of a complete work for me. So it's never a complete work. This process is something to do with my discipline of working, whether I work in a particular space or a time. It also is to do with time management. How do artist manages its time, and how do artist manages its energy? So is it time management or energy management? I always used to question on this. Am I being lazy about not working? Or if you have a particular way of working, what time slot do you fix for your working hours? I think this is very, very important, because me being a teacher, when you teach someone a proper habit or something, you also are reflecting on yourself, what you're working on. So while I'm working, I don't know about what is my future project which I will be working. But yes, one thing I know very sure is you have to do something truthful what you're doing at present. So you are in that, you're present in that moment, and you're working within that. Whether it can be framed, it can be fixed, it can be a proper installation or an exhibition ahead, you never know. But I think that is how my work is, like on a larger scale, like on larger different stages. One is half done, one is just started, one which is I'm planning and it is just in key sketch, or it is just in a end stage where I've presented. But while presentation also, it's not complete for me sometimes. So it's very vague to make a decision or make a statement that it's complete. For me, it is never like that. I see it as a stage. Okay, this is done. It is done only for now. It may get connected with other work as well. So there is no set concept. There is nothing to do with social issues which I deal with. It is something very, very vague. But at the same time, it is very, very particular when I work on a particular artwork. And later, once it's done, as a third person, you start reflecting on that, you start labeling it, you kind of start collecting your thoughts and start writing about that work. I also write about my own work, so I'm very sure what this is and how it has came from and what made me do that. So I write about my work later, but while I'm working, I don't know about anything about it. So that is how my work process and that is how my work temperament is.
तर हर्षदाचं हे वर्क बेसिकली जेव्हा लॉकडाऊन होतं त्याच्यानंतर सुरू झालं. आपण मास्क लावत होतो आणि ती गोष्ट कुठेतरी तिने एक विचार केला की आपण जसे बंदिस्त आहोत तशा ह्या गोष्टी पण बंदिस्त आहेत का, आणि तसं हे तिचं हळूहळू वर्क डेव्हलप झालं. तर ही बऱ्यापैकी एक्सपेरिमेंट्स आर्ट फील्डमध्ये तुम्ही जर बघितली, गुगल केली तर ती तुम्हाला सापडून येतील. पण तरी प्रत्येक आर्टिस्टचं एक वैशिष्ट्य असतं. तिच्या ज्या वस्तू वापरल्या आहेत त्या वस्तूंचं तिच्या स्वतःच्या लाईफशी काय जे कनेक्शन आहे, तर त्या कनेक्शनमधनं तिने त्या वस्तू आणलेल्या आहेत आणि त्या गुंडाळलेल्या आहेत. तर एक प्रत्येक आर्टिस्टचा वेगळा सिग्निफिकन्स असतो, तसं तिच्या वर्कमध्ये तुम्हाला तो बघायला मिळेल आणि त्याचं कनेक्शन तिच्या ड्रॉइंग्समध्ये पण बघायला मिळेल. तो एक जर्नी, कम्प्लीट जर्नी तुम्हाला ड्रॉइंग्समध्ये आणि तिच्या ऑब्जेक्ट्समध्ये तिने ज्या पद्धतीने मांडणी केली आहे त्या सगळ्यामध्ये तुम्हाला बघायला मिळेल.
हर्षदाचा हा पहिलाच शो आहे आणि सगळं कामं बघितल्यानंतर असं वाटतं की नाही, खूप असं प्रायोगिक तिचं एक विजन आहे कामाबद्दल. आणि एक संसारी स्त्री आणि तिला एक आपल्या संसाराबद्दल असलेलं एक आपुलकी आणि एकंदरीत स्त्रियां अशा म्हणजे असं जे स्त्री मन आहे त्याच्याबद्दलचं मला वाटतं की एक एक्सप्रेशन त्यात ती शोधू इच्छिते. शिवाय हे काम करत असताना एक अवेअरनेस पण आहे की वेगळ्या मटेरियलमध्ये आपण त्यात काही शक्यता शोधायच्या का, हे सगळं याच्या चित्रामध्ये मला दिसून आलेलं आहे. ती स्कल्पचर पण केलेली आहे तिने, जशी कापडाला गुंडाळलेले काही ऑब्जेक्ट्स आहेत जी तिच्या स्वयंपाकघरातलीच बरीचशी आहेत ती जी वापरली ना आपण नेहमी बघत असतो ती. तर हे जसं माझं म्हणणं आहे की ही अगदी जवळचे ऑब्जेक्ट्स आहेत ही सगळी, ज्याच्याबद्दल जे आपण नेहमी हँडल करतो ती आहे. तर स्वतःच्या भावना आहेत ज्या स्त्रीत्वाच्या भावना आहेत आणि संसारामध्ये जे स्थित्यंतर घडत आहेत, सोबत पार्टनर आहे, काहीतरी घरी नवीन पाहुणा येऊ घालतो आहे, त्याच्याबद्दलच्या भावना आहेत. ह्या सगळ्यांचं एक मिश्रण त्या चित्रामध्ये एक प्रतीत होतं. ते मला एक असं वाटलं की तिचं एक विशेष शक्तिस्थान आहे या कामामध्ये. आणि पुढे नक्कीच ते एक्सप्लोअर होऊन एक वेगळा आकार घेईल असं मला तिचं हे सगळं काम बघितल्यावर जाणवतं. त्यामुळे ते ह्या पहिल्या शोबद्दल मी तिचं अभिनंदन करू इच्छितो. धन्यवाद.